For decades, the Boston radio scene helped shape the national listening landscape, but in recent years, the medium has found that dirty water a bit choppy. Over the past 2 decades, the Hub has said goodbye to several music mainstays, including legendary rock pillar WBCN. And with podcasts, streaming services, and audiobooks dominating, one Boston-bred broadcaster imagines what his career would have been without radio.
I would be speaking into a microphone saying, "Would you like to supersize this?"
Long before hosting America's Funniest Videos and Dancing with the Stars, Tom Bergeron cut his teeth with talk between rock records in his hometown of Haverhill.
When I was young, I never thought of television. It was always radio. Radio is what I grew up loving, listening to a lot of the Boston guys, some of whom became really good friends of mine years later, like Larry Glick and Dave Maynard.
Bergeron was just a senior in high school when he took to the airwaves, but he quickly climbed the ranks in New England, turning the tables on the traditional call-in format by calling out to unsuspecting sidekicks.
One example of a regular on the show, whom I would call, was a woman in Melbourne, Australia. Her name was Beverly Foreman, and I would call her periodically for Down Under updates. And one of them was just my wondering if it was true that south of the equator, when you flush the toilet, the water went in a different direction. And so that's one of the more cultural moments on my radio show in New Hampshire, the sound of a flushing Australian toilet.
But one thing you don't get from a podcast, the thrill of a live broadcast, which, according to Bergeron, was crucial in his transition from radio to television.
People would ask, how do you think so quickly? So, well, radio. Radio was really my improv training ground, especially my days at WHAV.
Bergeron's knack for connecting with listeners lives on in the very building in Haverhill where he made his debut. Over its 3 decades, WXRV The River has risen to become one of Boston's most beloved destinations on the dial. But what does it mean to be an independent radio station?
I think it means we can play the diversity of music that we do from 70s to now. There's something for everyone. We're like an extremely close and small office. There's 5 or 6 of us here on the day-to-day.
It's kind of like old radio, which is kind of fun.
With so many changes in listening habits, independent radio stations can be harder to find. The River is an exception. Using its grassroots approach in cultivating music, it appeals not only to audiences, but to artists.
We're always, discovering great bands that have been getting national popularity, and as well as first maybe exposure here on the station.
And many of those acts have performed within these walls, with everyone from 90s standouts, Bare Naked Ladies and Tori Amos, to contemporary stars Ed Sheeran and the Lumineers gracing the River Music Hall.
Oh, I don't think you're right for him.
At just 29, Olivia Lowe serves as the station's musical director.
I literally have listened to it my entire life, so I feel like I hear a song and I'm immediately like, oh, that's a River song. I tend to love rootsier things, but if I hear something electronic that I'm like, I bet that'll get the person who came up in the 80s nostalgic, even though it's a new song. Discovery and rediscovery is what we kind of like to say.
Now helming the afternoon shift, Crosby first arrived at the River in 2009, and, like Bergeron, he envisioned a career in radio from an early age, if for dubious reasons.
We had a high school radio station, and I loved music, and I wanted to play music, and I wanted to talk, play music, and impress girls. And 2 out of the 3, I did a really good job.
A nice, deep, cold.
Authenticity, along with unique daily features, are crucial to keeping the station alive and local.
When you're streaming on Pandora or your Spotify playlist, you can get music, but the nice thing about being a live and local radio station is it's more than that. It's talking about the strikes that are going on in Boston, or it's talking about the Green Line that's shut down today. Like just bringing that kind of personal stuff.
Each summer, the river gears up to celebrate with its annual River Fest, a free event featuring Boston-based headliners and even including Lowe's own group, The Far Out. It's the river's way of giving back to its famously loyal listeners, and another perk you won't get from a playlist.
It's like the biggest cult station I've ever worked at. You line 10 people up in Boston, maybe not all of them listen to the river, but the 4 that do are like really into the river. And that's really fun. It's really cool.
And while the Far Out aren't in the lineup for this year's Riverfest, it is taking place on August 22nd on Salisbury Beach. The Spin Doctors are headlining. And back to Tom Bergeron. 2 of his earliest interviews in high school were with Mo Howard and Larry Fine of the Three Stooges. Tom says they were gracious with their time, which is good because you didn't want to make Mo angry.